TES kind of special. They draw Gen G, you're like, well, that's the headshot. So now you're 2-2, and now you've got to perform in this really high pressure moment. And they get BLG, a team that's so familiar with them, and usually gets the better of them. Yep. So it is definitely a tough spot to be in. Azir is still going to be up. I really do wonder, you know, if BLG would just leave the Azir up for a potential answer, bring out like a melee champion, something along the lines of that Yone or you know, even like an Akali or a Silas, just like something from Knight to try to give that over, because that feels like their style. And yeah, they're going to leave it up and they're going to try to bait, I think, Creme into playing it. We'll see. And
if you're looking for someone who can just outplay their opponent on a champion that is meta and is seen as first pick, second pick worthy, it is Knight. Like, that's what he so consistently does. For BLG, we always talk about Knight and Bin as the two key carries for the lineup. I think last game on really stepping up alongside Elk, obviously, who consistently gets those kills. Trundle and Azir, the two picks here for top esports into that Renekton from BLG.
So now we'll see if we're going to get what I was kind of thinking, which would be something along the lines of Yone. It would mean they'd have to have an AP jungle, which could make things a little bit more complex. But it is one of those answers. Of course, if you want to go AD jungle, you can still go like Akali or whatever, Silas, things like this. But that's kind of where my mind is at right now. But we have also seen, you know, more of these kind of different style of counters, answers like the Zig. So you can, you know, go that style too and play things like that are less common. But, you know, people think of Xerath, people think of Vel'Koz, people think of Victor to try to outrange. But I really don't like the Victor matchup simply because, well, you can, like, the thought process is basically I just poke him with the E-Laser and slowly whittle him down over time. When people play well post 6, often what happens is you just get the first ult from Azir, forces your flash, the second ult kills you. So I am expecting still a melee champ. Aurora would be another option, but he's hovering through all kinds of things, and it is going to be the Aurora, which does work really, really well as a pairing with the Vi. Of course, when the Vi came through, it also makes you think of things like the Ahri that he is very famous for. But it is going to be Aurora at the end of the day. I mean, Knight really can make anything work, and this is something that is going to put a lot of pressure, you have to think, onto Creme. That Vi-Aurora combo.
We've seen Knight actually bring out the Aurora twice versus top esports during the grand finals, which is the name for the entirety of the tournament, not just the finals of it. And he lost both of those games. It was top esports coming out as the victors. The second one going 1-0-0-1. 0-0, sorry, not having as much of an impact as he'd like. And that was Creme on the Azir, again, in that second game. So we'll see how much impact Creme can have on this pick.
Knight has played it a ton, though, this year. You know, 20 games on it throughout the year. You know, second most played behind just that Talia. So it is absolutely a comfort pick. 369 on tanks. We have seen this many times before. Just going to be trying to neutralize what Bin can do on this Renekton. All the roles have been matched, so now it is just about targeting some of these comfort picks here. Elk, Ezreal, one of the champions he is most famous for. Caitlyn, of course, was already banned out earlier. And I feel like, you know, if I'm banning as BLG, you either want to ban enchanters like the Renata, or you want to ban things that can absorb the engage that you're drafting for. Things like Xayah would be what I would thinking of. I think Xayah would make sense as a ban. There's another option, things like Jhin potentially, but I really do think Xayah makes a ton of sense here unless you want to double ban enchanters, and Renata's kind of like the king enchanter against hard engage.
Also, Xayah is the most picked for JackeyLove in summer, so it's his most consistent champion, obviously plays it incredibly well, as do most AD carries all around the world, so wouldn't be surprised if we see that Xayah ban at all. There's also something like the Sivir. If you want to make sure your Vi engage can definitely get off, you can smite the spell shield away if you're going in with a cease and desist, but there is the Xayah ban. So we'll see if top esports decide to go towards that Sivir, or if they want something like the Jhin that can stand a little bit further back, have that range, just use the curtain call to facilitate the start of a fight.
Yep, I mean, Varus can kind of do similar things too. If you want to go lethality Varus, you kind of just sit back and try to just poke in with that. But of course, Varus is very susceptible to dive. Can be really difficult if they do get in on top of you. And people have not really been a fan of the lethality Varus throughout the tournament, but it does seem like that is going to be the option. They are saving 5th pick here for Hong, so I'm curious, you know, are they going to go what would be the expected pick, something along the lines of like Rel, or just something, you know, standard hard engage, or is it going to be Enchanter trying to play for the 2v2. With Alistar there, it really does lower the priority on Rel, so instead they're going to go Poppy. So they're going to go more for the denial of the engage rather than having hard engage themselves. So now this composition from TES to me becomes really about kind of zone control and poke.
Yeah.
It's about, pillaring out the carries. It's about poking them down with the Varus, using the soldiers to kind of create this line. And when BLG goes for this inevitable hard engage where they pop the Sivir ult and in-flies everybody, well, that's when Hong and 369 need to come in with the Pathmaker and with the Poppy ult, knock you back and peel for their carries. So it's really two kind of diametrically opposed ideas in how to play the game. And I think that these make for some of the most fun games of League to watch when there's such clear ways that you need to play the game and everyone is trying to, best set up for themselves while denying their opponent's ability to execute on what they want to do.
Because you often find in team fights, there are so many different avenues you have to think about, so many different ways to approach. For BLG, they'll be saying, oh, can we get the Aurora on a flank? Can the Vi come from behind? Can the Renekton sneak around through vision? And for top esports, they'll be thinking, who do we mark with whom? Does the Poppy need to be on the Renekton? Does the Poppy need to sit on the Vi? Do we need to have the Keeper's Verdict there for the start of the fight? Where can the Azir position? It's great to watch. We'll try and keep you abreast of it through the entirety of the fights as well. But I will say, if BLG get ahead, I do really like what they can do in this as well, because even if they go for that first initial engage, they have enough follow-up after it that if top esports aren't chunky, they can just mow them down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can be one of these types of games that snowball super, super hard, right? Vi, Aurora, that kind of composition gets way ahead. All of a sudden, your Varus and your Azir are just dead at the start of every fight, right? It can become very, very difficult to deal with. That being said, if this TES composition can stay relatively even for a long time, then you start getting into these luxury items. Then you're looking at GAs, then you're looking at Zonias, then you're looking at all of these answers for what BLG's composition is meant to do. So there is some pressure. Of course, you do obviously have that Sivir as your kind of like, that's your fallback plan or whatever you want to call it. You always have that.
500 CS Sivir power spike, as Knight takes a chunk of damage early in that mid lane. JackeyLove might be pathing up towards top. Looks like he's going to try and avoid On and Elk, who are waiting to catch him out. We do have 100 international games for 369 all time across his career. Congratulations to him. Looking to make it at least 101 here at Worlds 2025.
Jackie being pretty annoying here, actually. Gets his Mana Flow brand proc, got a couple Comet procs, and they're trying to keep them away from that wave a little bit, force them to walk the long way at the very least. Of course, they got a bit of chunk on Knight, but he had time to base. Creme wanted to base himself, but did lose just that little bit of health. And On going to continue getting this poke on. I mean, Alistar level 1 is just not a champion, right? And now you're down half of your HP, so that's kind of your 2 potions gone. Of course, you can rely somewhat on your passive, so you're just going to pop the 1 potion for now and try to heal it back up as Elk is just on this expected W start. And
using that ricochet to try and get the wave through as quickly as possible. On will get the knockback with the headbutt. Obviously no pulverize to follow it up, only being level 1. Vision in that middle bush means that Hung can't push forward too easily. We'll try and use that ranged buckler and the shield from it to constantly trade in, but with the push actually coming out from On and Elk, they're going to get to that level 2 first, which means Jackie and Hung have to respect it. Heal coming out from On as they look for the damage with the Boomerang Blade. Piercing arrow out from JackeyLove. They'll get 2, but they'll miss the minion. So it's a tiny, tiny lead for Elk on that bot side.
Well played by On. I actually really like the use of the heal, both obviously to get himself back to full, but the move speed gets him in range, allows that combo to come through, follow it up with the Boomerang Blade, get a nice little chunk down on your opponent. So now JackeyLove is the one who has to use his potion. Elk still is sitting on his. Of course, there isn't a sustained advantage there for Hung, who is still sitting on 2 potions, but nice little bit of trading. Both these laners, trying to play for every little advantage. TES getting the early chunk, but BLG just knowing how to play it out.
So important that you do it just before the level 2 comes out, because either the steadfast presence or the charge from Poppy would spell disaster there. You're either getting knocked up as you go in for your CC, or you're getting knocked back underneath the tower as you go in for your CC, both of which not the best states to be in as a cow at level 2. 369 and Bin constantly trading up here in towards the top side. Both of them will be happy enough. Bin's actually on his most played this split. 12 games on this Renekton. Won about 8 of those 12.
And you can see On took a early recall. Elk had to stay around here. Is just going to use a spell shield there for a little bit of a heal. JackeyLove trying to slowly whittle away on this tower. Kanavi has arrived, but because On is here, I don't really think there's a dive angle. I think they were maybe saying, hey, it's worth spending a little bit of time here. I'm slower to start the scuttle, but if Hong went mid lane or Hong was looking for something else, then that could have been a dive.
Knight trading with Creme here. Shadow looking for it. Weirding out from Knight. Creme has to flash. Respects the Q flash there from Shadow.
Yeah, I like that. That's well played by Shadow. Basically, Creme has to, because if he late Q flashes on you, you're just dead. So just don't even use your flash. You can kind of play that game. Sometimes people get really risky and then not use their flash either, but well played, putting that pressure on. Knight's still quite low here, but wants to push in the wave, and I don't think Creme's going to be able to stop him.
Knight didn't know exactly where Kanavi was there, but kind of anticipated him having backed, hiding around the corner out of vision. You could see Kanavi stayed around. It's like, okay, a recall time is about 8 seconds. We don't see Knight in the lane. And then Knight comes around the corner to push out the wave. It would have been a really bad spot for him if both of them had just recalled and then the teleports had come back in. So Knight here will try and crash this next wave in with that 2-fold Hex. Hung coming across to bolster Creme as he TPs back into the lane, but Knight gets all the minions and now can just back away.
Yep, it's going to be able to hold that no problem. Both supports showing up mid lane at basically the exact same time. And the wave will just crash, so Creme is going to be able to farm that up, but the next wave will be pushing over into Knight. So not any major advantage created there. Bin has been laning quite well, though, in this 1v1, getting non-stop push, but also really being a menace on all of these range minions. You know, as 369 tries to walk forward and farm these range minions, he's always getting harassed. He is getting stunned up and chipped away at, which is, you know, has put him down close to that 10 CS mark. There may be a couple more for him to farm, but still really nice early laning by Bin on this Renekton, and that's what you want to see to really make this pick worthwhile.
It's going to end up being about one full wave if 369 manages to pick up all of these, but he's also got the plate, so in a really good spot. And as you say, you want this Renekton to get towards those 1 to 2 item power points so that when you get team fights around the Drakes, he can be trying to isolate Jackie on the back line. He can be another point of pressure. We talked about the multi-pronged approach, kind of a quadrant really, coming out here from BLG. You have Bin from one flank, you have Shadow from another, you have Knight from another, you have On from another. You have these 4 points of that spear trying to get onto top esports, but for the moment with the push in the bot lane from JackeyLove and Hung, they will be able to secure this first Drake.
Sometimes, you know, you get fancy with it, you do what you're talking about, you know, all the finesse, and sometimes instead of 4 points of a spear, you just become one big club.
Yep.
Everyone just goes together, press all your buttons at once, see what happens, and sometimes that's the best way to play it. Knight hit 6, immediately used his ult onto Creme to try to get a chunk, but Creme just got out of there in a hurry, so he didn't really get much of anything for it. And now again, Hung shows up mid. Oh, nicely played there by 369. Flips in Bin and knew with the Pathmaker he was going to get put under the tower, so had to use the flash. That's the frustrating thing about Ksante is he can just hold this wave just outside his tower, and you always have to respect that not only do his abilities put you under the tower, they also kill the wave at the same time.
And then there's the all-out follow-up after it, so you're just locked there for an absolute age. Cease and desist going down onto Creme here. Shadow's gone so deep. Yep, has to flash. We all saw that one coming. The Emperor's Divide would have knocked Shadow back underneath that turret. We see the swap coming out first from top esports. JackeyLove actually going up towards top pit.
You say we all did, but I don't think Shadow did.
Okay, I think he saw it as soon as he got pulled back. Yeah. I think he was like, okay, yeah, maybe not the best idea to stay here.
You have some time to think about what you've done.
It's like when you twisted advance someone and they dash underneath their tower. It's like, oh, maybe not the best idea. As first play from either jungler, really. We saw, you know, Kanavi spending a little bit of time around bot, but does get Creme's ultimate out, which means Knight can be a little bit more aggressive in the 1v1 in the mid lane. Bin's still staying up here. We don't actually see... Look, I'm trying to find something good.
That is very glass half full.
Out of it, man.
Great gank. You gotta have Creme's
I didn't say it was great.
Ult.
It finds the ult.
No, I said it was great.
Sure? Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just like the red buff steal was great in the last
great.
I'm interested that BLG are keeping Bin up here, though. You can see they want to invest some time in getting out some extra experience, some extra solo gold. Has only got the Cull, and Bin is actually just staying in the 2v1.
This is going to be up here for now. He doesn't have TP, so it would be hard to actually, you know, get him out of this lane unless Elk can push out bot and then move up top, something along those lines. So for now, he is just going to be chilling. Not really under too much threat. I don't think he's at any risk of getting burst down. You can see 369 has moved. Elk is bot, so this should be the grubs for TES. A nice early bit of lane assignments here for them. And Creme will just go down bot to catch that wave eventually.
Yeah, and this was my thought, right? You know you have a numbers advantage. You know the Sivir doesn't have teleport, so top esports will get the first Drake and 3 grubs. 2 of those objective slaying feats as Shadow tries to steal one away. Maybe they'll look for Kanavi. The smite for the slow, not enough to get that ball breaker in range, and Shadow doesn't have that cease and desist.
Yep, doesn't have the cease and desist and doesn't have his flash, so he can't even look for that.
When did he lose that?
On that great gank.
Yep, true.
When he forced out the ultimate from the Azir.
Good job.
Yeah. But, you know, at the end of the day, not that big of a deal. BLG, you know, was getting a little bit behind here and there in the last game, but obviously the compositions are very different. And I do feel like there's more pressure on BLG to be able to create action. Of course, you can always just sometimes outplay, you know, in these late game compositions, and then it doesn't really matter. You know, you step one foot in the wrong spot as JackeyLove or Creme, and maybe you just die even in a late game fight. But when you talk about scaling, you know, I think a lot of times about, you know, ease of execution, and I do think what TES has drafted is definitely a lot easier. As Bin just going to ult to try to kill the wave, I think, but trying so much.
Caught up in the chain of corruption, killed him equal, heal him up. Ruthless Predator for the stun on Hong as well, but clears the wave. Shadow was here to cover just in case it went a little bit pear-shaped. Hong, if he steps further forward, there was a possibility of an engage.
You said if it went pear-shaped, but what shape was that?
Oh, that was, you know, a perfect apple.
Apple?
Spheroid.
So apple is the positive fruit and pear is the negative.
Spheroid as Hong, cease and desist onto JackeyLove. On jumps in, flashes forward for the double pulverize. JackeyLove stunned up with a trample. The keeper's verdict finds them all guilty. But really, BLG will be happy with their prize of the kill on Jackie.
How about that engage from On? W to the Poppy, flash into the middle of them, Q, knock up on both. That was clean. That's what you like to see from the Alistar. And going to be able to make that play work here. Said they had to kind of find some of these aggressive moves, and they absolutely were able to.
But it's also one they shouldn't really have been able to find, because Steadfast Presence exists. Unless we saw Hong use it earlier on in the lane as they were trying to push it up. His Bin's caught out, all out from 369. He just wins out the 1v1, no dominance on Bin. On now caught out a little bit, but he's going to get the knockback onto Kanavi. Has to flash away as Bolt Breaker out. Will get the CC onto that Trundle. Knight trying to put the damage in from the side, and Emperor's Divide coming out again as Shadow tries to retreat. Takes Kanavi, jumps back in with a Bolt Breaker. Creme in the middle of them, and Knight still so healthy. The Blast Cone knocks back 3 of BLG. Knight flashes the wall, and Creme is churned to butter. BLG fine too.
What a nice fight there from BLG, staying around at such low health. But On hangs around, and Knight, again, as always, just always seems to find a way to come out on top in these skirmishes. When it is down to the slimmest of margins, it is always Knight that seems to win out, makes the roam happen here. The Ghost actually being pretty critical here for On, as he popped the Ghost pretty early, kind of just headbutts him away, runs away, and then Kanavi here flashes in to follow, but gets trample stunned, and then all of a sudden it's this difficult spot where Knight has arrived, gets the ulti down on multiple members, Shadow is able to turn and finish one off, does get knocked back by Hong on his Q, but Knight in the meanwhile is pushing out Creme, so Creme can't actually stay around and finish off anyone. They juggle the health bars there so well, just using the HP as a resource, everyone just coming in and out as their spells are up and ready. And BLG just play that skirmish out beautifully and come away with a 1.3k advantage. But it is TES coming out of that replay with 2 dragons now.
We have a bit of a swip swap from game 1 as Shadow looks for Creme, cease and desist down, Knight look for the damage with that 2-fold Hex, weirding out, not enough. Shadow dies to the soldiers! Just not enough from Knight to get the kill, and Creme happily accepts one. Knight now needs to run away. TP out as he knows with the pillar down, there's no more CC that can interrupt that cast.
Nicely done by Knight to escape, but Shadow, not some of the best ganks we've seen here in the mid lane.
The guy's 2-in-1, he just needs to avoid mid.
Yeah.
And I understand wanting to get Creme behind because he's got the Nash's Tooth and his ear scales really well into the game, but every time you go mid, you die, Shadow, so maybe don't go there anymore.
Yeah, goes mid, and this time, you know, it doesn't even force anything. It's not like he got an ult, not like he got a flash. He goes in, and I understand the thought process because they knew Creme had no ult from that earlier play, so I think the idea is good, but Azir is just such a safe champion. Gets back towards that tower, you can't finish him off, takes a couple tower shots himself, and then just gets knocked down by Creme, and now Kanavi topside. Bin could be in trouble again.
Bin might be caught out here as 369 looks for the Intofos, gets the knockback after the pillar, all out, pulls Bin back, Domina's popped, but Bin will be the one going pop as Top Esports find another 3-3 now. An incredibly even early game between these two teams.
Yeah, Bin did a good job creating some early advantages in that 1v1, but then it's 369 getting a solo kill on him. It's 369 sitting up for a great gank here from Kanavi, and now, just like that, the Ksante is ahead and is going to be winning in that 1v1. Built himself a nice early edge, and I mean, you really just have to stack armor against this composition. Yep. Sure, there's an Aurora, but like, in what world is the Aurora spending all their damage onto the Ksante and you're winning the fight, right? It just doesn't exist. So already has a full Thornmail plus the Tabbies. That is kind of everyone's consistent damage that is over on the BLG side. And sure, there's a Black Cleaver. Sure, the Sivir is going to scale well, but Ksante is just going to be a real pain for BLG's composition to deal with.
It really is. It's going to be so hard for them to actually get through him until Sivir gets to like 5-6 items, and then the Shred will come out with those ricochets. Shadow looking for Creme, does have that Emperor's Divide. Shadow dashes away with the Vault Breaker, more just to clear the wave than anything more, but still 2 plates over to Top Esports on the push.
Ooh.
On! Almost gets the flash headbutt, but can't quite find it. Creme with a fancy feet gliding his way away. Top Esports here, just making sure that Creme can get the wave all the way in. Could play for the first tower if they want. The plates have just fallen off, and no real threat from BLG anywhere else. Bin clears the wave, pillar down, and the wave is culled off. So Top Esports will need to wait another 20-25 seconds before another wave comes in.
I mean, Creme just played that so well. I think it was a good look from On, but Creme really was anticipating it, right? He had the soldier ready. He's just instantly dashing out. So as that Q flash comes in, Creme just barely gets out of range. Good stuff from him, really kind of playing on those margins. And then once that flash is used, you already know there's no flash on Bin, so there's not really any chance of a setup. He's always going to be able to react very comfortably with the Azir ult if they try to combo in or anything like that. So really playing to the limit. They wanted to put that pressure down there, but BLG holding on to the towers for now.
It's an interesting swap from Game 1, because in Game 1 it was Top Esports who got the early kills, BLG who got the early Drakes and the Grubs, and now it's BLG who got the early kills. Top Esports will get the Dragons and now have started to even out the game. And for Top Esports, you're looking at its Mountain Soul. This Ksante will be unkillable entirely. Elk there stopped by the Spellbook Smite and won't be able to back away. Has finished his cull, so has about a 600 gold lead in that AD carry role. Bin here once again using the Dominus just to clear the wave. That early lead that we talked about has really not materialized into anything more than that.
No, it hasn't whatsoever. And Nasher's Azir, you hit this and you just start doing so much damage, and Bin knows he had to clear out that wave, wanted to defend the tower. They do not want to lose it because that will be feats. But Creme is just going to keep pushing here, and he has the grubs. Every time Bin steps up, he's just slowly getting chipped away at. We'll be able to clear out this wave though. Creme definitely having to work for it. The problem is they're not really pushing on anywhere else, so it's not like BLG are close to grabbing a tower elsewhere. And if TES do get this Herald, you have to feel like that's going to be feats going their way with the tower as well.
Should definitely be the first tower if they manage to get that hold, get the charge off. Shadow looking for Honk. Goes in for just a little chip damage. Heal out from Honk. And BLG, they have to be defensive. They have to step back a little bit. There's the first tower. Creme steps forward, knowing there's no jungler on this side of the map, knowing that Elk and On are up towards that top side. There's the feats for Top Esports. BLG feel like they're trying to scale for second items at the moment, just accepting waves rather than being able to do anything proactive.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, the game is still close, but it does really feel like one of these games that is maybe one fight away, like one bad fight from BLG and they're kind of out of it. I mean, they're clearly feeling like they're in a pretty terrible position if you're going to give up Soul Point without even a contest. So instead, they're just going to try to trade for Herald. They're going to try to get some more gold. But the other team, I think, is easier to play out, in my opinion, has better scaling, and is now going to be at Soul Point. And when you're playing a hard engaged comp here, you know, with this buy, with this Aurora, and you're looking at Mountain Soul, that's one of the worst, if not the worst, souls to actually see as an opportunity for TES.
Especially when you talked about the Ksante just being able to build armor as well, right? It's getting buffed up 5% per Mountain Drake you have, will be 10% if they get the soul. And then you have the shield on top of it that scales off bonus health, AD, AP. It's so tricky for BLG, and we talked about it in draft. This is one of those games that does just snowball really quickly if one team gets ahead. We kind of focused on it from BLG's point of view, saying, well, if they get ahead and they can just dive in, they will wipe Top Esports off the map. But for Top Esports, it's like, you can't kill us. Like, we can just stand there. We have prio in every wave. No one can actually get the push in, and so we're never really under any threat. And
it always feels weird, you know, sometimes I think for people who are listening to hear us talk about a game in this way, because you look at the gold and you're like, it's 300 gold, you know, it's 3-3. But it's really compositional that it's coming down to, and that's why I do feel like this is going to be a one-fight game. You know, we're going to see the Soul come up here in about 4 minutes. BLG is going to show up, and if they win that, then they can maybe turn that into something more. You know, you win that, you get that Dragon, you get an Otacon, all of a sudden you build a big advantage, and maybe you can start to really push that in your favor. But if TES are able to win that and get Soul, barring some really crazy stuff, it's pretty much lights out. So that is why we are talking about it being, you know, so favorable, the position in the game for TES. They're just really comfortable compositionally and objective-wise.
I also think around the times they have to fight, which is 3 minutes time for the Mountain Soul, BLG at 2 items will be weaker than top esports at 2 items. They have a little bit more gold as well, but I love a 2-item Varus with Mana Moon fully stacked up. Creme has already got his Nash's Tooth, building up to his next item with that Haunting Guise and the Faded Ashes. Like, in terms of relative power, I take the right side comp, the red side comp, at 2 items more than I take the blue side comp.
But what if Knight flanks and then one-shots their carries?
Sure. And that's the thing.
There you go.
Right?
And that's always the thing, right?
That's the thing, Knight. And he does it so often. This guy, in my opinion, probably the best player to ever come out of the LPL, at least the most consistently top player to ever come out of the LPL. He does that in moments like this, in games like this. The question is, can he do it? And even if he does it once, it's not enough. BLG need to win the first fight and then probably 2 or 3 subsequent fights to really get back in the game. They'll put the Rift Herald down mid to try and crack this tier 1. The pillar comes out to stop the charge. And Kanavi puts the traffic cone up, says, excuse me, can't park here, sir. Kills off the Rift Herald before it gets its charge in.
You think you'd just get a ticket for parking in the wrong place?
Yeah.
Just brutally murdered.
Look, man.
Runeterra is ruthless.
Yeah, of course it is. Oh, Creme, though. Good engage here from Shadow, but with the Emperor's Divide, he'll lock him up. Knight pops at the Between Worlds and then puts it down because he doesn't want to bounce back in as top esports begin to collapse onto On. Pulverize, not caught out with that Pathmaker. On has to flash away. Top esports collapse incredibly quickly. 6 seconds on the Artican.
Yeah, they do collapse really quickly, but they want to try to get more because look at the other waves here. Ben is pushing bot for free, and we can see Sivir shoving up mid for free as well. So they kind of need to get more than just that flash, it feels like right now. We are expecting that bot lane tower to go down for sure. Elk won't be able to get this, though.
On with the headbutt back. Shadow here to try and protect his Alistar, and Tofu is not going to hit with that Q3. Elk gets the mid lane tower as he trades onto JackeyLove, but the spell shield doesn't block the piercing arrow. Barrier coming out from Elk. Meanwhile, Creme engaging onto Knight, who uses the weirding to try and dodge away. The dive in by 369 isn't going to be enough as On's caught down towards the bottom side. Elk able to walk away in mid. Meanwhile, Bin continues to push a tier 2 perhaps for top esports towards this top lane, but with a TP coming in, Knight's looking for the re-engage. Weirding onto Creme, gets the slow, gets the damage. Shadow goes between the uprights, can't hit 369 or Kanavi. Elk on the flank, spell shields, but now he's isolated. Has to flash the wall, but with an exhaust, he's clubbed around the head by Kanavi. Top esports find the kill. BLG get a couple of towers out of it, but top will look towards the Artican alongside.
Really nicely played there by Hong. Gets a multi-man knockback. Elk is isolated. Came over there at pretty low HP after the scuffle mid lane. They were able to force down 2 towers, and he had a great spell shield on JackeyLove's ultimate, but now it's TES forcing the Artican here. BLG know they have to contest. They're falling behind.
Top esports will be low. Armor Magic is this shredded by this Artican. 369 trying to block, weirding out, knock up onto him with the headbutt. Shadow trying to come in from the bottom side, but it looks like BLG will just give up the ghost. Artican secured by Kanavi and Top esports. They haven't given a single neutral objective over to BLG in the first 21.5 minutes of this game.
And now we have to take stock of all the resources here because it's 20 seconds until Soul. They just got Artican. You're looking at flashes. The flashes on all the playmakers except for Shadow are missing. JackeyLove still has his flash. That is really big because the Varus is the most susceptible to that dive. So that is going to help to keep him safe in this next fight. And TES have got to be feeling like they're about to tie up this series. They just have to win one more big fight. 369 also has his flash, so that's a big playmaking ability. He could potentially get in onto Elk. They're first here to set up.
On, Steadfast Presence popped there by Hong. Pillar down as well. Hong using the Unbreakable World Chain of Corruption. Gonna land onto Elk as well and will lock him up on down. Elk unable to step up and help out his cow. Meanwhile, Bin's looking for the flank here as BLG. They've got 2 prongs of the Trident, but Top esports have all 5 players left alive. Shadow forced away. The Drake begun by Top esports. Knight trying to get in there, but can't find an avenue to approach through the brick wall that is 369. Bin going forward for JackeyLove. Ruthless Predator flashed away, cease and desist onto that backline as well, but the collapse from Top esports is massive. Between Worlds goes Knight, and Top esports still managing to survive through it. They turn it around. Kanavi and 369 just diving in. Bin will get 1 in response, but only 2 left alive for BLG. Means Soul is the prize for Top esports.
It's a good try there from BLG. As Knight is going to hang around, he knows they can't give Soul. It's going to be a total prayer over the wall. And it was pretty darn close to being answered as we can see our MasterCard priceless moment of the game. TES claimed the Soul. But BLG had a good start to the fight. Bid found a good angle onto Jackie. They do kill him off, but the problem is Elk dies at the same time. And when Elk goes down, who's going to kill the front line? From TES, there's just no consistent damage. So Bin gets in, gets the slow onto Jackie, stuns him as he goes over the wall, but then you have to look at what is happening on the other side. Elk here tries to get into the mix, immediately knocked down by Kanavi, as well as 369, and then there's just not enough consistent damage. And then great try over the wall. Let's see how close it does get. Wow, okay. So it was a perfect smite from Kanavi.
Yeah. Auto smite at 970 is enough damage to get the kill. So well done all round by Top Esports to secure that Mountain Soul. And for BLG now, like, you've seen what a fight can be, but now you have to try and do that again into a Mountain Soul. You have 526 international kills for Bin, who has surpassed Perks for 7th all-time. Congratulations to him. He's going to get a few more, at least at this Worlds, you have to feel, because I think we both expect another game, at least in this best of 3.
We are absolutely expecting at least one more game at this point. TES not going down without a fight. And it does feel like two pretty controlled games on opposite sides, you know, when you think through. I do feel like even though the gold has been closer in this one, I feel like the last game was maybe closer. You know, this time it just didn't feel like BLG ever got any real advantages, and TES has kind of felt inevitable because of the dragon control, because of the composition. They're playing it out really, really well. BLG do still have some pretty good wave clear with Elk, but the problem is TES, I think, are strong enough now with this super tanky Ksante. You can just threaten the dive. He can just take it up forever.
And that's exactly what they do. Elk has to flash away. Meanwhile, there's a TP behind them between World Seasons Assist all onto JackeyLove. The follower coming out from On. And BLG are looking for the fight. Kanavi still very healthy. Hung almost going down. He's going to have to flash away. Shadow gets killed off. It's a 1-for-1 exchange. Jungle up for AD carry. Bin just going to run back up towards that top side. They might try and catch Kanavi as he walks across. Bin, Ruthless Predator, can't get the stun. Goes in. Unable to find it, chomped out by Kanavi. TP coming back here as 369 is going to join Top Esports on the push. Surprised that Elk was able to survive that. The tower helping out a lot.
But the fact that Shadow's down and the fact that Azir is still up means this Baron is up and available. If you can't dive them, force them to come to you, and that's exactly what TES are doing.
Bin doesn't have that ultimate. 369 looks for the Antofos. Hung's looking for that flank position. The Baron down to about half HP. With the Predator stun onto 369. The disengage. Creme goes in. The Emperor survives too, but not Elk. Kanavi's going to chase him out, though. On trying to protect his AD carry, but he just can't get there in time. It's roast beef for Top Esports as they claim 2 and will turn their eyes back towards the Baron.
It's just a beautiful run of play there from Top. They go mid. They force the dive. They can't fully make it happen. So then, with that kill on Shadow, they know we are just going to bring them to us over at the Baron. They immediately turn off that Baron, and Creme is able to find a great ult. They chase down Ulk, they kill him off, and now feel like they have full control here. 369 just kind of pushing them back, and then they decide, all right, just wait for Hung. As soon as he arrives, we are going to go. Kanavi goes in, the pillar comes down, flash from Creme. Knight does respond, and the spell shield was there from Elk, but he gets the other 2. Elk is chased down by Kanavi as well as Creme. Knight can do nothing but watch, and they know this one is all but over.
Creme doing a great job there, separating the AD carry from the means of protection in the form of On and Bin. And as soon as you do that, you can just chase him. Like, he doesn't have the damage to get through a Trundle who is sitting at Spirit Visage Triforce, the upgraded plated steel caps. He is in such a strong position. Top Esports generally just in prime control of this game right now. And this is, I think this is part of the difference between how BLG win games and how Top Esports win games as well. Top Esports, the most macro, most objective setup-orientated team in the LPL, whereas BLG, they love to get pulled into a skirmish from time to time. And you see that here. It's 11-6, it's a 3,000 gold lead, there's a soul for Top Esports. It's all done, but the Nexus is falling, and Top will just take it slow. They're like, okay, we'll push through bot, we'll force you away. We don't have to take the fight. They're still going to look for On, but with Redemption coming out, Kanavi still trying to club him. We'll take him. Chain of Corruption down as well onto Shadow. Goes in with the Season Assist. Knight looking for the damage, but Kanavi's too healthy to do anything about it. And they're just methodical. They'll force you off, they'll take the towers, they'll look for the inhibs, and BLG can't find a way back in.
Yeah, BLG just simply don't have the damage in a lot of these skirmishes to really even threaten them whatsoever. With the Mountain Soul Shield, with all of their gold lead, they are looking to end the game and tie us up right here.
The LPL Finals went all 5. Top Esports and BLG looking to make it go all 3 here. One win between either of them and that quarterfinal spot for top esports. They just need to take down this Nexus. BLG trying to defend. Elk using that ricochet. On goes in with a double pulverize, but the tower's almost fallen. No Nexus towers left alive. Bin, Ruthless Predator won't find the stun. On forced away. BLG forced away. And top esports will force us to a game 3.
A beautiful bounce back here from TES. So many top fans, you have to know we're worried after that game 1. Would they just go down in a sweep? Would they be able to bounce back? And the answer is a resounding yes.
It really is, and questions arise around the draft as well. The Azir left up for Creme to pick. He had a great performance all round on it. We're going to hand it over to the analyst desk to break down that game 2.